Questions about becoming a personal trainer, part 3. Hi, I'm Hayley from Parallel Coaching, and today's part is all about choosing the right course for you. Now, this is part of a 4-part series whereby we're answering all your questions that you have about becoming a personal trainer. And you can find the remaining sections or the remaining episodes of this both on our YouTube channel, which is Parallel Coaching. Make sure that you subscribe once you find us. And then also our Fit Pro Sessions podcast by Parallel Coaching, which you can find on Spotify or on iTunes or wherever you get your podcast from. But today is part 3, and we're going to be looking at how you choose the right course for you and the things that come up for that in terms of what is the right course. As a quick little recap, part 1, we looked at whether the fitness industry was right for you and whether being a personal trainer is right for you. Part 2, we looked at exploring career paths. Now we're going to look at choosing the right course for you. And then also part 4, which will follow on from this one, is all about action versus confidence. So let's head in and sort of recap a tiny little bit from the last episode. If you haven't gone back and looked at these, please make sure that you do. Like I say, they can be on YouTube or on our podcast. I want to kind of recap that we looked at the different career paths. So in part 2, we looked at all the different career paths and qualifications that you need, and hopefully had a little bit of a chance to understand and think about what type of path is best for you based on what you'd like to do and also the types of clients that you'd like to work with. Now we're going to take that and just give you a couple of examples of really understanding which ones you're going to need. So this is your first part of your decision, really, is that so far it's been maybe a little bit theoretical. You're thinking about like, oh, what would it be like to actually go and work with clients? And now you're going, oh, God, things are going to get real. I'm going to actually start getting qualified. So there are a couple of main routes that people take, which I looked at on the career path section on the last episode. But I want to kind of recap the main ones that most people will follow. If you're a one step at a time person, maybe you need to take a moment, take a breather, and literally just take one step at a time, not in any particular rush. Just go with the level 2 gym instructor. And that's the first step for all of your paths. You don't need to add on anything else just yet. You can do the other things later, and that's okay. If you know that you want to go and work with groups in a circuit or a boot camp, then definitely do level 2 gym. That's your starting point. And you'll need circuits as well. So level 2 circuit instructor. You might choose to add on level 3 PT as an extra, depending on the other things you're thinking you might do. If you want to set up your own fitness business with healthy clients, those that pass a pre-activity readiness questionnaire, that have no conditions, have no medications, etc., then level 2 gym and level 3 PT are perfect as a combination because you'll get the foundations and then you'll be able to dive deeper into your knowledge and your confidence will bloom through the level 3 PT as well. Plus, it gives you an understanding from a business point of view about how that could fit together very nicely. And then finally, if you want to specialize in working with those that have health conditions, so long-term health conditions, I'd recommend you go level 2 gym instructor because that's the starting point. Then you might move on to the long-term conditions course. You don't need PT in order to do that. Or you might then choose to do PT as an extra afterwards if you want. So there's a couple of examples just to help your decision making based on a couple of, I suppose, common career paths that people take. So first of all, that's your decision you need to make. What is the course that you're actually after? And that's your first port of call to have a look. Now, there are a couple of components that you need to consider when choosing the best course for you. Not the best course overall in the world, but the best course for you. First thing is, how quickly do you want to qualify? There are intensive options. There are ones that are spaced out over a long period of time. And also you've got to consider whether it's step by step or whether it's an all-in kind of person. So first of all, when you're looking at the intensive side of courses, if you want to learn quickly and you want to speed that up and you kind of want to get qualified quickly so you can go and start working with clients, then I definitely recommend that you pick something that's intensive. So for example, we do our level 2 gym instructor over 3 attendance days that are Friday, Saturday, Sunday. That's it, one weekend. And if you pick that right, there's not much home study that you need to do either side of it, or maybe you can work through that home study quite quickly. Some people will offer spaced out options whereby you, for example, could do it over a year in a college, going one afternoon per week, for example. That spaces it out quite a lot. If you don't want to qualify very quickly and that kind of suits you, that might be a route that you choose. Also, with that intensive option, remember there's space to do more coursework either side of that. So really you can spread out if you want to take your time with it. The home study bit is often quite flexible. Now, this also depends on whether you're a step-by-step person, you just want to take one thing at a time, or whether you're a kind of all-in person, in which case you might go for the full package straight away, know you're doing it, you're going all in which case that will probably change which avenue you want to take. But how quickly do you want to qualify is probably the first question. The second question is, how do you learn best? Are you quite a practical person? And if you are, welcome to the fitness industry. Most of the people I speak to are practical minded. That's why they're interested in fitness. It's why they like to move, they like to learn. And also, as mature beings, as we kind of get older, we actually learn really well from doing things as a way of learning. So practical attendance days could be something that is very high on your list, especially if you learn better from doing it and having some level of repetition. Alongside that, you'll probably have theory that you need to do as well. So stuff that you can't practically do, like learning the heart and the energy systems and things like that. Yes, you can apply them to some things that we would do practically in the classroom, but most of the time it's about understanding these theoretically. And we do that via home study. I think there's some training providers out there that do that face to face. The thing I like about doing this over home study is that you can take your time to do it. So some people might need to repeat the heart module 5 times, whereas other people can hear it once and they're good. And that's okay. And that's what I love about video and audio learning, like what we're doing now, is that you can learn something and then you can repeat it, or you can listen to it again, and that kind of layers on that learning and that knowledge. And I think most people learn best that way. There's not many people that will listen to something once and that's it, they've got it. And also some people like reading. So it's nice to mix up your learning style, even if you're not a reader. I'm not a reader, just so you know. I don't usually rely on reading as my main way of learning. I'm much more of a video and audio kind of learner. But in doing so, reading actually can benefit because you're mixing up your type of learning. And that's why, like, having, say, a physical manual is something very helpful alongside videos or remote or e-learning that you might be doing. So think about all the different elements you're going to need to learn and make sure you've got a good mixture of different learning styles so that you can adapt what you're doing. Some online learning is just clicking through, or it's just reading what's on the screen, which can be a bit tricky. The third thing you need to consider is, when will you study? Think about if you've got a home study to do, or you're choosing an online predominantly course. Think about when you're going to do that study, around your commitments, around work, around distractions that you have in the house. How are you going to find time to study, and where are you going to find time to study? Now, this question is not here to put you off. This question is here so that you can practically plan. And you might go, actually, based on that, I have 2 hours available this week or most weeks. And someone else might turn around and say, well, actually, I'm full-time. Like, I can full-time in learning. I can give 20 hours of study in a week. That's going to move at a very different pace to someone that can only do maybe 1 or 2 hours per week. So think about the time commitments that you have and your own expectations of what you can complete study-wise each week. And once you know that, you can then look at that when you're looking at different courses and qualifications that exist. Other things to consider are logistics to travel. Obviously, some courses, ours included, have attendance days, and that means you need to travel. We've got all of our attendance days are in Milton Keynes, so slap bang in the middle of the country. We travel up from Cornwall in order to deliver it. We have people that travel from Scotland, from Isle of Man, from Liverpool, from Manchester, from London, and then they stay over for that whole intensive weekend. And we find over the years, 12 years of it, we found that works really well, because actually it's only one lot of logistics to travel compared to, say, trying to find lots of logistics for lots of different sessions, whereby you've got to travel maybe less far, but more often. So yeah, think about how those logistics work. Sometimes, and it's not what you expect. So think about what would be best for you. Think about how it will fit in, and then come and look at the dates and see what works for you. The fourth thing to consider is, do you struggle to learn new things? If you are not alone by any means. Or if you lack confidence, then it's important to consider the type of learning that you're going to aim for. If you lack confidence, we'll talk about this in the final episode of this series. But if you do lack confidence generally in your own ability, or you're worried about your ability to learn something, maybe it's been a long while since you've been in the classroom, you want to make sure that you do have a place that you can ask for support and that you can ask for help. And that also maybe you've got a face-to-face tutor, someone that is there all the time that you're able to kind of ask questions to, or a person behind the phone, so to speak, so that it's not just a chat bot or something along those lines. So think about how much support you're probably expecting. And alongside this, it's also worth me saying, what is your self-motivation? Some people are incredibly self-motivated, whereby give them a list of stuff and they'll do it in an instant. They'll work their way through everything all on their own. And they don't really need much support along the way or much kicks up the bum. People need to just make sure they're back on track, or they need reassurance that they're filling in the forms right or the worksheets correctly. So if that's you and you need a little bit more support, don't do something that has very little support, because the likelihood of you passing or succeeding in that, especially with high confidence, becomes a little bit less. So really think about all these 4 things when you're choosing the best course for you. How quickly do you want to qualify? How do you learn best? When will you study? And do you struggle to learn new things or have lack of confidence? Consider those things when you're lining up your ideal types of courses. Other things when you do your research is to consider that it is accredited. There's a lot of courses in the fitness industry, and whatever course you choose, make sure it is recognized and accredited. Although there is no set regulatory body for the fitness industry, you want something that has been checked and that operates at a high standard. You don't want something that someone's just made up and created a nice certificate for and then is going to send over to you. You want something that a future employer, that an insurance company, future training providers are going to look at and go, actually, that's part of a recognized syllabus. I know that they've completed this to a standard and I know what they've completed. Now, these are the types of badges that you need to be looking for. First of all, Ofqual. If you see something with Ofqual on it, that means it's from the Office of Qualifications and Examinations Regulation. Oh, a bit wordy, but you've probably heard of Ofsted or Ofwat for water or whatever else it might be. It basically means that it's a standardized approach. It's been looked at overall, and it's basically the vocational qualification part of Ofsted. So you know that the qualification or the training provider that you're working with is adhering to a set standard. So look for it to be Ofqual. It also means on your certificates you'll have some units written down. Those units will help you claim those units as being used before when you then come in to do other courses later. So a good example of that is that if you do level 3 PT, it includes the anatomy exam. If you do level 3 long-term conditions, that also includes the anatomy exam. If you pick something that's on Ofqual, then that same unit appears in both of them, which means you wouldn't have to do it twice. Yay. So Ofqual is something to look for. You may see some that say SIMSPA. SIMSPA is, I suppose, as close as we get to some sort of regulatory body or union for the fitness industry, but it's not actually. It's your choice whether you choose to register with SIMSPA or not. But they do have some level of regulation, or they're a good standing point to check that things are meeting good standards. So if you see SIMSPA on there, it's usually a good sign that it's met some standards and some requirements. Active IQ and YMCA awards are probably the 2 highest recognized awarding bodies in the fitness industry. It doesn't mean that the others don't exist or that aren't great. There are lots of others as well. Both of these are both under Ofqual and both are recognized with SIMSPA. So you kind of see where we're going here. We use Active IQ here at Parallel Coaching for all of our qualifications so that we know that you get a certificate that's legit at the end of it. And in order to make that clear, we get checked on our standards every single year and multiple times throughout the year to make sure that we're operating at the standard that they are happy to put their logo on. So you know that it's going through rigorous checks. And that's why I kind of wanted to make this really clear. You don't want something that isn't accredited. Make sure that it is. And there's lots of wonderful stickers you can get, like this green one you can see on screen if you're on YouTube. And that green one is just saying certified. It's just a lovely stamp. But certified in what? Doesn't mean anything. Look for those icons I've shown you at the bottom of the screen to help you differentiate what ones are more recognized in the fitness industry. So whilst I'm here, I'm going to tell you about the Parallel Coaching Master Personal Trainer, just so that you can start off your research here. But you can obviously pick or take this depending on whether this is something that you need. Now, you'll notice that we've called it the Master Personal Trainer, which isn't a qualification on its own. It's a bundle of 2 recognized qualifications and lots of other wonderful things alongside it. Your 2 recognized qualifications are your Active IQ Level 2 Gym Certificate and your Level 3 Active IQ PT certification. So you get both of those. And then you also get other parallel coaching certificates like kettlebells and training in different environments alongside it. But this is the thing that's different about what we do. It's 9 days of face-to-face attendance in our Milton Keynes Academy. And you can see on screen, if you're on our YouTube, you'll see a picture of a wonderful group doing their end of day selfie. And yes, that's me as their main tutor. I'm the main tutor on Level 2 and Level 3. Neil also tutors on circuits, on kids, and then some of our other courses are online. But I really do feel that Level 2 Gym and Level 3 PT need to have that face-to-face time where you're practicing those foundational skills on that first few steps into the industry. So you have 9 days of face-to-face attendance. And the way we do that is you basically go from flip chart or classroom into the gym and then practically apply it. And then we go flip chart again, and then we go back into the gym, and then flip chart and then back in the gym. So that it layers on your knowledge as you work through the entire weekend. And you basically do a Friday, Saturday, Sunday for Level 2 Gym. Then there are 2 long weekends just like that for Level 3 PT. So we kind of do this long weekend intensive, which works really well for our learners. Because it means that they can build confidence, but they can also fit it in around their life as well. You have home study that you do in between. You'll get a physical manual through the post, which means you can do some reading alongside it. And also you get online video tutorials with lifetime access inside a login area that you can come back to as many times as you want. You also include lots of next step career help and business help as part of your Level 3 PT. There's 24/7 support, and I can't tell you how many other things are all included in this. There's loads of stuff. So I will include a link inside the show notes so that you have it to reference if you want it. One other thing that I would always advise you do when you're starting to look at your training courses and the types of things that you want to do is to go and find that course or that training provider on Trustpilot. Trustpilot is a great way to find out what people really think about the journey they've been on. When we're filming this, I think we've got 93 5-star reviews on that. It might be more by the time you're watching it. So please do go and check it, because they're answering all the questions that you probably have about becoming a PT. So definitely dive into that. And not just for us, but for any other provider that you go and look at, because you're going to probably find things in there in a review that answer questions that you have, or answer questions you didn't even know you had. And as I said earlier, our qualification is Active IQ recognized, so you know that it's Ofqual recognized, and it's going to be something that you can then move on with later. So that's what we do for this one. I thought it was worth us sort of giving you the details here, but there are many more slides to still go, or a good couple of bits to still talk about in today's episode. So please don't disappear. You'll have the links that you can go on and find a bit more about it. But one thing I wanted to remind you of is, remember the outcome that you wanted. So when you went back and you thought about, actually, this is what I really want, this is why I want to become a personal trainer, If you said that you wanted to be knowledgeable and confident as a personal trainer, then it starts by making sure your course provider will help and support you. Although logistics might be tough, don't rule out face-to-face days that add invaluable practical experience. And although a home study might be tough to fit in, don't rule out home study, because actually sometimes that makes it more flexible. So think about how you can piece all these things together to bring you to the outcome that you want based on the things that you need in your career change, in your PT course. And that's different for everybody. So remember, not one size fits all when it comes to finding the right course for you. So that brings us to the end of today's episode. And please do comment below. I would love to know what you would like from your qualification. This is really interesting, actually. I want to know kind of what you want from a qualification, what you think you want from a qualification. And I suppose I would just love to know that. So don't hold back when you pop that in. So please do drop it in the comments below. If you're on YouTube, that's quite an obvious one where the comments are. If you're on listening on podcast, then please do come back and still access this, because it will really help. And please do leave us a comment inside the feedback section of your iTunes or your Spotify, because it helps us understand what you liked, didn't like, what your takeaway was from the session as well. Now, coming up on the next episode, we're on part 4, whereby we're looking at action versus confidence. Now, the reason why we're looking at this is that confidence is the biggest reason that people stall and don't take action. So if you are ready to access part 4, then remember you can get that on YouTube, which is under the Parallel Coaching YouTube. Make sure you hit subscribe so that you get more just like this. And then also find us on our Fit Pro Sessions podcast, which is on your Spotify, iTunes, or wherever you get your podcasts from. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you do have any questions, please use those comments boxes or the message ports to be able to find us. And remember to access the links in the show notes as well. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you soon. Take care.